News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KVNU.
4:05 now on this hot Tuesday afternoon. I'm Will Feelwright with your KVNU local headlines as we're looking at record-breaking temperatures through the rest of the afternoon. Well, a 49-year-old Mill Creek man was arrested in Box Elder County following an Internet Crimes Against Children investigation in which authorities say he attempted to meet with someone he believed was a 16-year-old girl. Clark Ellis Redinger faces multiple charges, including distributing material harmful to a minor. Now, according to charging documents, an undercover investigator had contacted Redinger after responding to an ad on a Utah hookup website. Now, investigators say that the conversation later moved to an encrypted messaging app where it became sexual in nature after the suspect was reminded he was allegedly communicating with a minor. Now, authorities say that Redinger offered to share marijuana and arranged to meet up with the girl in Box Elder County. Investigators allege that he sent explicit photos and voice messages before arriving at a silver Toyota where he was taken into custody. In other news, a teenager was rescued over the weekend and airlifted to a hospital after falling approximately 50 feet into the Paris ice caves on Sunday. Now, the Bear Lake County Sheriff's Office reported the emergency crews responded to the cavern following a call for help. Now, a multi-agency team, including local medics, Idaho State Police, and Bear Lake County Fire, all worked together to successfully extract the teen from the deep cave system. Now, following the complex rescue, a medical helicopter transported the victim to an area hospital. Now, the teen's identity was not released, but authorities noted that they were suffering from non-life-threatening injuries. And one person was hospitalized with serious injuries after a firearm discharged inside a Cedar City home while police were executing a search warrant. Now, the Cedar City Police Department reported that officers were serving the warrant at the home when the gun went off inside the residence. Now, according to investigators, initial findings indicate that the weapon was not fired by a law enforcement officer. One individual sustained serious injuries in the shooting and was immediately transported to an area hospital for medical treatment. Authorities confirmed that no officers were injured during that incident. Well, checking your weather forecast through the rest of the afternoon, we've got hot temperatures breaking the record that was set back in 1984, as we're going to stay in the low 90s through the rest of the day. Tonight we'll drop into the mid-40s. Tomorrow, a little cooler, highs right around the high 80s, then 70s coming for Thursday and Friday. And the weather this hour is brought to you by the Allies Law Firm. Jace Allen with Allen Law, along with Chris Guyman of the Conflict Resolution and seasoned litigator Sam Goebel, have recently joined forces to form the Allies Law Firm. When it comes to all your legal needs, you can trust the Allies Law Firm. And I'll have another check of local news coming up at the bottom of the hour as KVNU News Time is 4:08. And it's time for KVNU's For the People Show with Jason Williams next here on KVNU.
Did you know you can cut your Rocky Mountain power bill by 40 to 50% without a single solar panel? With the new time of use rates, power is 4.5 times more expensive in the evening, but cheap during the day. At Greenbox Solar, we install smart home batteries that charge up when electricity is cheap, then power your home during peak hours. Solar is totally optional and can be added in the future, but savings are guaranteed. Drop by Greenbox Solar's showroom in South Logan to see the hardware for yourself. Visit our website at poweredbygreenbox.com.
Breaking news, stimulating talk. News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
With the arrival of spring, Cash Stormwater Coalition wants to remind us all of 5 simple things we can do to improve our local water source. Pick up and dispose of pet waste. Sweep up and remove loose grass clippings or leaves from sidewalks and hard surfaces. Sweep fertilizers or other lawn chemicals back onto the grassy areas. Wash equipment or vehicles on the grass or at your favorite local professional car wash. And properly dispose of used automotive fluids or dry up and clean up any spills or leaks. We can all make a difference if we do our part. Brought to you by the Cash Stormwater Coalition.
Look, let's clear something up. IV therapy, hormones, peptides, ozone, this isn't about luxury wellness. It's about function. This is Dr. Josh Red with Red River Health and Wellness, and we're expanding our services to include these advanced therapies that support how your body actually works. Low energy, inflammation, hormones, recovery, immune health. These treatments are used intentionally with medical oversight and integrated into our existing approach to whole body care. If you're tired of quick fixes and vague answers, this is something different. This is about supporting your health at a deeper level so you can feel better, think clear, and live stronger. Red River Health and Wellness, because your health deserves more than guesswork. Learn more or schedule a consultation at redriverhealthandwellness.com.
Call Red River Health and Wellness at 855-55-RIVER.
Call Red River today.
KVNU's For the People with Jason Williams and Bill Walter.
And it is Utah known as the fraud capital of the world. Not because we have more people committing fraud, but because we have so many people falling for it.
Going beneath the headlines and connecting you to the newsmakers.
The radio is a great way to get the word out to a lot of people in an emergency. So we thank you for your help and being a partner with us.
For the People on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM, 102.1 FM, online at 610kvnu.com, and on the KVNU mobile app.
Welcome to KVNU's For the People. 84 degrees here at the Radio Ranch at 4:11 in the afternoon. I'm Jason Williams. Thank you for tuning in. Got a lot to talk about today. Grow the Flow. We talked about a report they had out last week regarding water in Box Elder County, where it comes from and how much there is of it in certain areas in light of the proposed Stratos AI data center. 40,000 acres out there. Developers clarifying that the center itself is probably going to only be between 2,000, 3,000 acres. 40,000 is the amount of land they're buying for the entire project to operate on and spread some buildings out. But one thing we know about AI data centers, they use a lot of water. Even closed-loop systems have a tendency to go through water at a higher rate than an entire city can. So that's one of the concerns that has slowed this whole project down and has the state now taking a closer look, with Governor Cox promising Box Elder residents, all residents in the state, that they will be more transparent and talk to the public, trying to get public buy-in in advance as opposed to the way this played out going forward. Part of that is an effort to get information out. So Grow the Flow is a nonprofit organization, but they do work closely with the state legislature to help inform the legislature on water issues. This is a collection of scientists, retired water conservation professionals, people who work in certain industries, and this nonprofit has served as kind of a clearinghouse for water resources here in Utah statewide. But they're turning their spotlight on Box Elder County, and this is happening tomorrow. So Box Elder County residents in the Salt Lake City area, the auditorium of the Salt Lake Library, at 6 p.m. tomorrow evening, Grow the Flow, the nonprofit organization, is hosting a public forum to discuss the proposed Stratos AI data center project in Box Elder County. And they're hoping to do two things. They're going to have a presentation featuring a discussion for participants to ask questions and learn more about the data center's potential impacts on water specifically, again, and provide some information on how local citizens can work to promote transparency and accountability in this process. They will have on hand available state and local officials, those involved directly with the MEDA, the military board that the legislature created. And so basically a big opportunity. Unfortunately, this is happening in Salt Lake. Grow the Flow said that this was primarily because of difficulty in finding a location, and then also recognizing that they wanted state lawmakers to be a part of this. They decided to plan the event in Salt Lake City at the Salt Lake Library in the auditorium there. And they plan future events with a little more lead time for planning, Ben Abbott told us, in the Box Elder County and Wasatch Front area. But this is, again, an opportunity for you to get out, talk to lawmakers, talk to people from the MEDA board, and, of course, experts within Utah's Division of Water Quality. But also on hand, there will be presentations from Ben Abbott of Grow the Flow. He's the executive director. He's also a BYU environmental science professor and kind of the state's go-to on water, especially lakes and reservoirs is where he has specialized. But he'll be speaking. Brigham Daniels, University of Utah property law professor. That should be an interesting conversation. Josh Kraft, Government Relations Director for the state's Utah Clean Energy, and Brenna Williams. She is the Box Elder, one of the Box Elder sponsors of the citizens referendum we talked about yesterday. One of the sponsors who submitted the application to put a referendum on the ballot to overturn the 3 county commissioners' vote on May 4th to move ahead with this project. And finally, speaking tomorrow night again at the Salt Lake City Library, the Nancy Tessman Auditorium. It's right inside the main entrance there at the Salt Lake Library at 6 p.m. tomorrow night, May 13th. Final speaker and presenter will be Andy Yates. He is a farmer, and we've had him on the show here before. He's president of an organization called the South Box Elder County Farm Bureau. And Yates, this is the one I really wanted to tell people about. Yates has been a very outspoken individual here in northern Utah. As a representative of the South Box Elder County Farm Bureau in the gobbling up of agriculture land in northern Utah. And Yates has spoken many times saying that his frustration seems to be there's so little planning to this that he's not sure anyone is really aware of how much agricultural land that is used for not only farming but grazing is disappearing in Utah, and no one seems to have a plan. He told us here on the show when he joined us last year representing the South Box Elder County Farm Bureau. He said, it was frightening to him when he would talk to elected officials, planners, state leaders from all over the state. No one seemed to have a real grasp on what the plan was here. What are we going to do if we get to a point where we realize that we've gobbled up too much of the agricultural and grazing land for development? So he'll be speaking tomorrow night as well. So again, I know this is Salt Lake, so it's a bit of a drive for Box Elder residents, but this is a really big opportunity. Again, alongside state officials, state lawmakers. I'm not sure. Someone asked me if there was any news of a representative of the governor's office. I'm not sure, but I have been told that state lawmakers who either are familiar with or even are members of the META board have been invited, and some have RSVP'd already. And again, the speakers from everywhere from BYU environmental science professor to property law professor from the University of Utah, representatives of the Utah Clean Energy Organization. Government Relations Director there, Josh Kraft, and Brenna Williams, again of Box Elder County, resident who is one of the co-sponsors of one of 25 co-sponsors, I should say, of the citizens referendum filed in Box Elder County yesterday to overturn the county commissioner's vote to move forward on this project. And again, finally, Andy Yates, probably one of the people, if I was able to make this tomorrow night in Salt Lake at the the Salt Lake Library at 6 p.m. again in the Nancy Tessman Auditorium, Yates would be the one I'd want to go hear from the most. Again, Andy Yates, farmer in Box Elder County and president of the South Box Elder County Farm Bureau, a man with a lot to say about how much agricultural and grazing land we're gobbling up for development here in northern Utah. So, again, a bit of a drive, Salt Lake County, Salt Lake Library, but tomorrow night, 6 p.m. At the Salt Lake Library Nancy Tessman Auditorium. It's right inside the main entrance at the library there. They're calling this the Box Elder Data Center Public Forum. The goal is to disseminate a lot of information, allow people to ask questions. This isn't necessary, but they're asking if you can RSVP. And that is, you can find that in a link in the story at cachevalleydaily.com on all of this. Again, this is a public forum tomorrow evening at the Salt Lake City Library. Grow the Flow and the South Box Elder Farm Bureau, representatives of property law, professor of property law, professor of environmental science. A lot of experts will be there to answer your questions. So Box Elder County residents, really this is open to anyone. That was a part of the invite. They said, doing this in Salt Lake was necessary because of the availability of big venues. They expect a big turnout. And also recognizing this is at this point, a question for all of the Wasatch Front. They said they will try to plan in northern Utah in the future, but this one they threw together quickly. Salt Lake Library was the easiest location they could get. So if you can make the drive, I know that's not too much of a drive from Box Elder County, 25, 30 minutes, but tomorrow evening, 6 p.m. at the Salt Lake Library, Grow the Flow, organizing a public forum with a lot of experts on hand. And again, the link to RSVP, not necessary, but they're asking that you do. If the turnout is bigger than they even expect, they have the option to move to a larger auditorium at the library. So they're just trying to get an idea of how many people are planning to come. So link to the RSVP request from Grow the Flow in the story at cachevalleydaily.com. Grow the Flow Advocacy Group hosting Box Elder Data Center Forum at the Salt Lake City Library tomorrow evening, 6 p.m. All the details in the story, and we'll be back with more of For the People right after this.
The sun is finally out, the days are getting longer, and the open road is calling your name.
And we have the perfect ride to help you get there.
Roll into adventure today with a new lease from Murdoch Chevrolet, where your next summer journey begins.
Lease a 2026 Trax LT for only $249 per month for 39 months with $1,000 down. Or get up to $10,000 off a Silverado 1500.
You've got to come and see us
at Murdoch Chevrolet in Logan and Woods Cross or online at murdochchev.com. Chevrolet, together let's drive.
Call 888-391-6080 to receive dealer complete details. Offer expires 6/126.
Got a junk vehicle just sitting there? It's worth money right now. DD Auto and Salvage in Logan is paying top dollar for junk cars, trucks, farm rigs, and scrap metal, and they'll even come pick it up. DD Auto and Salvage handles any kind of metal recycling. Junk cars, scrap, large cleanups, you name it. With tow trucks, roll-off bins, and heavy equipment, no job is too big. Call 787-1204. That's 787-1204. DD Auto and Salvage, turning junk into serious cash.
Your home takes a beating here in northern Utah. Wind, heat, snow. So if your home's siding or stucco was looking worn, it's not just cosmetic, it's protection. North Star Exteriors specializes in siding, stucco, and masonry that doesn't just look incredible, it's built to last. North Star Exteriors is a 2-time silver winner in the Best of Northern Utah with a perfect 5-star Google rating. Call North Star Exteriors and upgrade your home's exterior. 435-695-3545 or visit northstarexteriors.org.
Hi, this is Gordon Deal. Wednesday on This Morning, America's First News. The midterm elections may traditionally be a referendum on the party that holds the White House, but this year it's also about congressional maps. Also, businesses are starting to collect refunds from the tariffs ruled illegal by the Supreme Court. Hear how they're using the money and how commencement speaker became such a toxic speaking gig. Wednesday on This Morning, America's First News. From 4 to 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM. Your station for news and talk.
We'll be getting back to the topic of AI later on this hour. That is the focus of this week's sneak preview of Sutherland Institute's Defending Ideas episode for our listeners. Every Tuesday, you get a snippet of the new episode before it's out. Nick Dunn of the Sutherland Institute this week, joined by Bennett Borden, founder and CEO of a company called Clarion AI Partners. Nick and Derek Monson of the Sutherland Institute discuss, how AI is the positive things we've seen about AI so far in potential applications in healthcare, government, education, even family life, but also the risks. One that Congressman Blake Moore actually told us about a couple of weeks ago when he joined us here on the show, talking about AI in general and his bill to ban AI in children's toys. That's one of the examples I like to go to because it's a stark example. But Congressman Moore has a child with special developmental needs when it comes to his education. And due to his challenges, he struggles to interact with other people. He finds it difficult. And he finds interacting with a talking AI toy much easier. But as Congressman Moore told us, that's concerning for him as a parent, that it could encourage children to disconnect further from other human beings, but also concern from the congressman over some of the conversations that the AI can lead a child through. Child starts asking questions. Hey, what's this? Hey, what's that? If the AI doesn't have a way to say, well, that's not an appropriate thing to talk to a child about, it's just going to tell them. And there are no guardrails on this right now, and yet they're stuffing AI in chatbots, basically, in all of these talking and interactive toys left and right. So that, to me, is one of the go-to examples for our listeners. If you're a parent, you don't need a better example, right, of some of the risks of AI. But getting the regulations right has been a challenge for a state legislature. If you remember, during the session, the state legislature and the federal government, the White House specifically, butted heads, threatened lawsuits against each other, with Utah wanting to regulate AI to demand that AI companies take steps to protect children, especially when it comes to the creation of pornography or exploitative endeavors that are already prevalent online for children to be exposed to. They had a bill that would basically say, AI developers, this is a mandate in the state of Utah. You will lose bigly in court if you don't take steps to protect children. The White House said, don't you dare. This is a technical arms race with China. Don't regulate it yet. And the two butted heads. Lawsuit threats were thrown back and forth between the state and the federal government. You don't see that often when the state is dominated by the same party that currently holds power at the federal level, but it's just an example of how fast moving all this is and how complex it is, and how little anyone really knows for sure what to do. So that is the topic of this week's Sutherland Institute Defending Ideas, coming up on the other side of the news. And again, at 5 o'clock, we'll be joined by Carol Hoff. She is a member of the Cache County America 250 Celebration Committee, and they have their first big kickoff event for what is between Logan City, Cache County, and the state, and a couple of federal government events that'll happen at Hill Air Force Base and other places. You've got basically a summer, week by week, something going on every week as part of this America 250 celebration. So we'll talk about the kickoff event for the Cache County portion of this event and the summer-long schedule that the committee has planned. That's coming up at 5 o'clock. Before all of that, just a little gossip here. Who doesn't like that, right? Rumors are already going around about, I don't know if people get bored or if there's something that triggers this that's completely random and unpredictable. But there was a list put out by Politico of people who are rumored to be interested in running for governor in 2028. Now, Governor Cox can run for a third term. It's allowed here in Utah, but he's already said not going to do it. Not interested. He's also said he's not interested in running for president. Some people have suggested that with his book coming out in September, that might be, he might be trying to boost his profile. The governor has said what he wants to do is, he's been kind of mum about what he wants to do, but he said one of his focuses after leaving the governor's office in Utah is he wants to play a part in fixing our politics. He's got the Disagree Better campaign. He's got a book coming up in September called Off Ramp. And I'm guessing that's where the governor heads. Either way, he's made it clear. He's not going to run again for governor, not going to run for higher office, at least not immediately after leaving office. And Politico's Sam Benson, who used to work for the Deseret News here in Utah, reported this week that there were several names thrown out. Few of them new. Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson. I'm biased on that one. I think she'd be great because I worked with her on some transparency bills years ago. And I don't think we have enough people here in Utah in high office that care about transparency. I'm not saying they don't care about it. I'm saying it's not a priority for too many of our elected officials, and it needs to be. So I would have a hard time not being excited about her running, but there were some other names on there that if they came to be, I think Utahns would be pretty happy with. But one that surprised everyone, one that surprises no one, is former Congressman Jason Chaffetz. But I think I've watched him try several times to make himself into a thing again here in Utah. And I don't know if it's that he got reelected and then bailed early to go work for Fox News, or if people just didn't, care for him while he was in office for other reasons. But he's really struggled to get traction, despite the fact that he is a Fox News personality. He's kind of the fill-in guy for the last several years when someone's out. But despite that, he struggles to get traction for some reason. And so That was a name that would surprise no one. That's been on the list forever. House Speaker Mike Schultz as well. He's come under fire before for these very polished videos that, by the way, we're paying for, that are put out as if they're promoting the work of the Utah House, but people have pointed out, well, they sure seem to focus a lot on just the speaker, Mike Schultz, and he's there in makeup and great lighting, and it's very scripted. No other lawmakers, even though it's supposed to be a plug for the House and the work they're doing collectively. They never talk to. It's never other lawmakers. It's always the speaker. And the rumors there are that he's setting himself up for more statewide recognition so he can run for governor. I don't know if any of this is true. This is just what was in the Politico story. But one name that surprised everyone was Senator John Curtis. So he was just elected in the last U.S. Senate election that took place here in Utah, and he won't be up again until 2028. And, I'm sorry, further than that. The speculation, I don't know where it came from, but Politico pointed out that, the rules here in Utah, he could stay in the United States Senate and run for governor. And if he doesn't win the gubernatorial race here in Utah, he can still be United States Senator. He doesn't have to leave that job to run for governor. Maybe that's where the rumor came from. I don't know. But it was for about 24 hours. All anyone was talking about, would John Curtis do this after just getting elected, serving only one term? Would he leave the Senate for the governor's office? Why didn't he just run for governor in the first place? Because, Cox was running for re-election would be an answer to that. John Curtis, I think he let this percolate for a while just to be a jerk, or to maybe get a good laugh out of it. Anyway, poured cold water on the whole thing. Kind of. He didn't say no. He didn't say he wouldn't run for governor here in Utah in 2028. What he said is, the race is a ways out there. I'm not even thinking about it. Curtis told the Deseret News, I have one goal, and that's to be a good senator. And you'll notice nobody contacted me for this political article. My name was mentioned. The rumors were mentioned. Nobody talked to me. For me right now, no interest. It's all about being a good senator. But Deseret News points out that, the door is open. Curtis has acknowledged that he's been approached by several people to run for governor in 2028. And Deseret News reports that one of their sources, who's familiar with the senator's thinking on this, has had discussions with the senator on this, told the Deseret News that Curtis is, he has mulled the idea over. But as more, he laughed at it originally, this source told the Deseret News, but as more people have approached him, he's starting to think, well, I don't know, maybe. So the rumors bubbled back up again after that Deseret News story yesterday afternoon. So late last night, Curtis released a formal statement saying he's very happy in the Senate and plans to seek re-election there. He said, it's a special privilege to represent Utahns in the United States Senate. I love my work here, and I'm extremely grateful for it. Despite this recent speculation, I'm happy where I'm at, and I have not spent a minute on plans to leave this office for another. Whether as mayor, a member of the House, or now in the Senate, I've never approached public service by planning my next career move. I focus on doing the job I was elected to do and do it as well as I can. That's been my approach from the beginning. It's exactly where my focuses and energies are today. So, by the way, he is planning something outside of Senate work. He's going to finish as part of the America 250 celebration here in Utah. He's going to finish his 250-mile walk. That's wild. He's planning to complete a 250-mile walk in honor of the country's 250th birthday. And he said as he does this, he's going to reflect on the history and legacy of the United States. And that is apparently where this rumor came from. There was speculation that he was doing this 250-mile walk as a publicity stunt for an announced gubernatorial run or maybe even presidential run. Curtis said, just rumors. Nothing about this is contemplating my political future. I don't know even where that came from. For me, this is about celebrating America 250, and at my age, getting in as many steps as you can. I love that. So he'll, by the way this will work, he'll start, Senator John Curtis will embark on this solo 250-mile walk around July 4th. He'll walk 30 miles a day from northern Utah to finish in Provo, where he originally started his political career as mayor. And then he'll have people join him along the way. They're going to film this whole thing. He says he wants to focus on the country's heritage, Utah's pioneer heritage, and things he has to say about America's history himself. And he said that he's going to pull this off in one summer as part of this celebration. So I think I'd rather be in the United States Senate than walk 250 miles, which is saying a lot because I can't think of many things I would like to do less than be in the United States Senate right now. But yeah, the rumors, for now at least, not true. Senator John Curtis does not plan to run for governor here in Utah, plans to seek re-election in the United States Senate when his term is up. All right. On the other side, a sneak preview of this week's Sutherland Institute Defending Ideas, returning to the topic of AI. Nick Dunn and Derek Monson of the Institute sit down with Bennett Borden, founder and CEO of Clarion AI Partners, to talk about the positives of AI as it could be applied in healthcare, government, even family life, but also the risks and how to get the regulations right. That's coming up after this. Look at the news with KVNU's We'll Feel Right.
Well, thank you, Jason. 3 Utahns are among 18 Americans who have been quarantined now in a federal medical facility after being exposed to that rare strain of hantavirus while on a cruise ship. Now, the Utah Department of Health and Human Services confirmed the local cases, but assured the public that the risk of spread is minimal. Now, the outbreak, which began earlier this month on the cruise ship, killed 3 passengers and triggered an international isolation effort. Now, state epidemiologist Dr. Leisha Nolan emphasized that the Andes hantavirus typically spreads through rodent droppings, and person-to-person transmission is rare and requires close contact with someone actively showing symptoms. Now, health officials note that there are no documented cases of asymptomatic spread. The Utah passengers will remain in federal isolation until deemed safe to return home, and once back in Utah, they'll undergo daily symptom monitoring for at least 6 weeks. Well, Elder W. Mark Bassett, a General Authority 70 and Executive Director of the Missionary Department for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, passed away suddenly yesterday from a traumatic brain injury at the age of 59. Now, the church announced that Bassett had passed away while surrounded by family in St. George. Now, the exact circumstances of his fatal injury were not disclosed. Now, Bassett had served as a General Authority 70 since April of 2016. Now, recently, he oversaw the church's global missionary efforts, guiding the department through a period of historic growth and unprecedented volunteer numbers. Now, his past service also had included time as a mission president in Arizona and a full-time missionary in Guatemala. Now, just days before his death, Bassett and his wife Angela had addressed volunteers during a devotional that was held May 5th at the Provo Missionary Training Center. Now, church leaders yesterday expressed their deep sadness, offering condolences to Bassett's wife, their 5 children, and grandchildren. And finally, an 83-year-old Provo woman has passed away following a head-on collision with a suspected drunk driver who was fleeing from law enforcement. Now, authorities say that the fatal crash happened after officers responded to an initial hit and run. Now, a witness had followed the suspect's vehicle to a nearby parking lot, and when an officer approached on foot, the driver, identified as Paceto Falima, had sped away. Now, investigators say that Falima then drove and crashed head-on into a car that was driven by Luena Polson. Now, Polson was transported to a Provo hospital where she later died. Falima, meanwhile, attempted to flee on foot, but was quickly detained by a bystander. The court documents show that Falima admitted to drinking a pint of whiskey, with preliminary tests indicating that his blood alcohol level was more than 4 times Utah's legal limit. Well, we've had hot temperatures, and it's going to continue through the rest of the afternoon, as we'll stay in the low 90s today. Tonight, drop into the mid-40s. Tomorrow, high 80s for Wednesday, then 70s coming for Thursday and Friday. And don't forget, coming up on Saturday, KVNU is going to be live at Daryl's Appliance for their 56th annual spring sale. It's anniversary pricing, store-wide, one day only from 9 to 6 on Saturday at Daryl's Appliance West on Airport Road. And I'm Will Feelwright with your KVNU local headlines.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Due to the ongoing war in Iran and tariffs, new data showing Americans are struggling with rising costs for nearly everything. ABC's Elizabeth Schulze has more on the new inflation numbers.
This inflation report shows that prices are going up overall at the fastest pace now in 3 years. That 3.8% inflation rate, a lot of that driven by the spike in gas and energy that we've seen since the start of the Iran war. So that rate, that 3.8% rate, we have not seen inflation been going up at this pace since May of 2023.
President Trump calling the higher inflation temporary. The president now traveling to Beijing to meet with China's leader this week, pushing trade investments. But stalled talks on Iran's ceasefire could also be high on the agenda. Changes at the FDA coming. President Trump announcing Commissioner Marty McCary is moving on. His departure in the works after clashes with lawmakers, major drug makers, and even President Trump. This is ABC
Mild
News.
winter? Oh, yeah. Your weeds noticed, too. Now they're popping up everywhere. Landscape beds rock, even your driveway. Oh. Good news? Logan Extermination has you covered with their Kills All service. Starting at just $75 for 1,500 square feet or less, they'll take care of those unwanted weeds fast. Clean it up before it all takes over. Call Logan Extermination today at 435-752-8450. That's 435-752-8450. Online at loganextermination.net, a division of Anderson Seed and Garden.
Bringing Wall Street to Main Street. From your local experts in downtown Logan, this is the Adams Wealth Advisors Market Report.
From ABC News, Wall Street now. Major market indexes were mixed after slipping in morning trading. The Dow recovered from morning losses to close with a gain of 56 points. At the close, the S&P down 12 and the Nasdaq fell 186 points. Chip stocks had steep losses after big year-to-date gains. Intel dropped 8.6%. Brent crude oil topped $102 a barrel. eBay rejected GameStop's $56 billion takeover bid. eBay chair Paul Pressler, in a letter to GameStop CEO, said eBay is strong, resilient business. The snub sent GameStop shares down more than 2%, while eBay stock added more than 2%. The American Hotel and Lodging Association reports the expected booking boom for the World Cup is lighter than expected in the 11 U.S. host cities. The group's survey found bookings in Boston, Philadelphia, San Francisco, and Seattle tracking below a typical summer. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
That's your update from Adams Wealth Advisors, guiding your financial future one day at a time. For personalized help planning yours, reach out to us at 435-752-1702. See you soon, Cache Valley. Advisory services offered through Adams Wealth Management, a registered investment advisor. For important disclosures and more information, visit adamswealthadvisors.com.
This summer, experience clear vision without the daily hassle of glasses or contacts. Whether you're on the trail, at the lake, or just enjoying time outside, LASIK can simplify how you see the world. This is Dr. Karen at Northern Utah Eye Center. We use advanced technology and a personalized approach to help each patient achieve their best possible vision. If you've been thinking about LASIK, now is the time to see if you're a candidate. Call or text 435-752-2020 to schedule your consultation.
You're gonna love what you see.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. Getting back to the topic of AI in a different way, though. Not talking about Box Elder, the data center, the public forum at the Salt Lake Library tomorrow night, 6 p.m., by the way, for Box Elder County residents. And go just to hear the representative from the South Box Elder County Farm Bureau. He has a lot of data and a lot to say on agricultural and grazing land that's getting gobbled up by development. But experts from property law to environmental sciences will be presenting. This is sponsored and organized by Grow the Flow, who works with the state legislature and as an advocacy group to better inform water policy here in Utah. But they put this together because of the concerns over the water usage of a massive data center like this. And again, they planned this in Salt Lake. I talked to Ben Abbott of Grow the Flow. He said, we planned this in Salt Lake because, well, really, we threw this together quickly. It was the easiest venue we could get at the time on short notice. They hope to do events closer to Box Elder County, if not in Box Elder County in the future. But they're hoping Box Elder County residents will be able to make the time tomorrow night to get down to the Salt Lake Library for this forum and ask their questions. They want a better informed group of people on this. Also, one of the 25 co-sponsors will be there as well, speaking about the application for a referendum that was submitted in Box Elder County yesterday to overturn the commissioners' votes to move forward on this project. So a really cool opportunity tomorrow night, 6 p.m., Salt Lake Library. And details on this in the story at cachevalleydaily.com, including the RSVP. Abbott told me not necessary to RSVP. They just hope everyone does. They want an idea of how big of a crowd's coming. If they need to move to a bigger auditorium last minute, then they have that option. So moving away from the Box Elder side of this, just AI in general. I've said many times, I still think this might be a bubble. I don't think that it is what the investors are claiming it to be as far as utility or even the intelligence aspect of. I think we're a long ways from actual artificial intelligence, but it is pretty smart, and it could have some useful applications. It could also present some massive risks, not just to children and young people, but our military, our hospitals, if applied too quickly or in the wrong ways. That was the topic, or that is the topic of this week's episode of Sutherland Institute's Defending Ideas. And our listeners get a sneak preview each week. This week, Nick Dunn and Derek Monson of the Sutherland Institute sit down with a man named Bennett Borden, founder and CEO of Clarion AI Partners. And they talk about how AI could positively impact healthcare, education, government, but also what some of the risks are, and how states, preferably in Sutherland's point of view, can get the regulation right. It's this week's sneak preview of Sutherland Institute's Defending Ideas.
I feel like those cliches kind of get tired at times of, oh, there's Terminator and, you know, the other movies we grew up watching, and this question of AI, but also its promise and potential and the innovative things we can do with it. And maybe to start off, Derek, I want to start with you because there's some new reports out from the Sutherland Institute that you kind of dive into different ways that AI is already actually being used across a whole range of sectors to do a lot of good in ways that maybe we forget when we're having these national conversations. Maybe start there, kind of give us your take on that angle of it.
Yeah, sure. I think there's a lot of concern and an understandable concern from people about the potential implications for AI, the implications for children in particular, but also more broadly on the economic trends and how much does it change jobs or replace jobs and those kinds of things. And those are all legitimate concerns that we ought to be thinking and talking about and taking seriously. But the debate publicly and discussion publicly has been so focused on those factors, I think we kind of miss some of the areas where AI is actually already making our lives better, and maybe we aren't even aware of it, or if we are aware of it, maybe we take it for granted as everyone focuses on some of the downsides or concerns or risks. So, for example, this is across areas of life: education, healthcare, government itself, and family life. In education, teachers are using AI to handle administrative tasks, those things that we all wish teachers didn't have to do so much so they could focus more on kids. AI programs are actually doing that for teachers, and that's being implemented across, at least in Utah, it's being implemented across the state, and I know outside the state, other states are doing that as well, to allow teachers to focus on teaching kids the things that we really want them to be doing in schools. And they're face-to-face interactions, by the way, right? It's not the AI doing things that takes the teacher out of the loop. Actually, it just empowers the teacher to be more in the loop with kids and focus more attention on individual needs. In areas like healthcare, it's advancing and speeding up diagnoses of things like cancers and skin conditions and things like that, so that people can get treated faster and better and even more accurately, for instance, with things like making sure their medications don't have dangerous interactions that might kind of fall through the cracks, with different prescription medications they may be getting. In the area of government, it's being used by state agencies across the country and at the federal government, for that matter. And I know Bennett can speak to that pretty well, to reduce kind of busy work, right, and allow us to get through, say, approval of transportation projects in a faster way that's also safe, because we've modeled some of the risks in ways we couldn't do without AI. And it saves taxpayer dollars, so those funds can be used to actually do more kind of the services and the things that we want government to be doing. And lastly, examples include in family life, where parents can use AI to take care of kind of more mundane and routine tasks and have more time to be with their family, to be with their kids. planning dinners, planning trips, and those kinds of things, which are important, right, for any family who has those things. Putting food on the table is really important, and how you spend that time when you're on a vacation is important. But if you had an AI assistant to help plan that out for you, and then you make executive decisions, well, that's time then you can actually focus on being with your kids on that vacation, talking with your children at the dinner table. And that's what AI unlocks. And we don't talk about that stuff nearly as much as the risks. And the concern is then, if we regulate based on all those risks without recognizing the benefits, and maybe without understanding that the same kind of models are regulating for risk are producing the benefits, we may end up cutting off those benefits and helps to us and our children. And one of the lines I say is, if we are improving or protecting our children now by taking away their future prosperity, I don't know that we're on the moral high ground.
The two of the things that stood out to me from all of that, and that's very comprehensive. We'll include some links in the show notes to that report about 25 different ways AI is helping make a difference across these different domains. But reducing government bureaucracy, giving me more time with my family, those two things alone, I'm like, I'm in. Like those are good things among all the others. Bennett, I want to ask you, because you work kind of inside enterprises on the ground that are trying to figure out how to deploy these technologies in ways that are constructive. And so I'd love to hear your take on kind of, I guess, number one, mainly, what are some of the biggest things that people get wrong or are missing about the advent of AI and the way it's being used in modern society and in business? And maybe include a little bit of summary of what you all do at Clarion AI Partners as part of that effort.
Thank you. Yeah. One of the greatest things that we do is work with organizations on trying to figure out an AI strategy. Excuse me. And it's wonderful to watch, because truly I believe this is one of the most transformative and disruptive technologies since electricity. Like it is almost a miraculous power that this technology has given us. And so some of the things that were mentioned about what it's doing in healthcare and education, being able to deliver high quality education to every student worldwide. Like these are within our grasp now. But the metaphor that I use all the time with leaders is you have to think about AI as the Iron Man, not the Terminator, right? That it's not like you're going to unplug a person and their job and plug in an AI system and it's going to replace that person. It's just not typically how it works. What we have found is that AI is really good at specific tasks within a job. And so the real key is understanding where in your operations, regardless of what industry you're in, where does AI do better than humans? How do you pinpoint that, control it, quality control it, right? Get all the right controls in place. And then how do you combine that with human acumen, which is essential? And so what you're doing is you end up augmenting and extending the natural talent and acumen and training that you've put into your people with this enabling technology.
Okay, I wrote down AI is Iron Man, not Terminator, because anytime we can use a pop culture reference, I love that. And I think that's one of the things that's been on my mind a lot as we've been having these conversations is the extent that we, and I mean like the big collective we as individuals, as professionals, as businesses, as government, as families, the extent that we can use AI as a tool to augment what we're doing so we can be better at it or have more time or kind of put our human minds to the task of the kind of executive decision making you mentioned, Derek, that we really are best at. That to me seems to be the linchpin that is going to help sort of push people into either, hey, this is really exciting, and yeah, let's be clear-eyed about if we do need guardrails, but it's mostly exciting versus this is mostly scary. And I think it ties into this question of if people are approaching this from the standpoint of fear or risk. Bennett, I want to ask you, I wonder how much of that comes from, is it that there is sort of some genuine fear about any negative effects, or is it they're not quite up to speed on the positive applications? Maybe folks, again, in businesses, governments at the individual level, don't quite yet understand how to make AI more like Iron Man And so if we don't have that positive use case scenario fully fleshed out in our minds, it's easy to go to the scary stuff. Is that maybe a right way to frame the balance, and how can we create the proper balance for folks?
I think so. So like here at Clarion, we are all data scientists and lawyers. So all the lawyers at the firm are data scientists, computer scientists, and so we're deeply technical. And so what I have found is that the risk side gets a lot of attention because it's not well defined, and lawyers hate that, right? So when I work with executive leaders at companies, they feel this immense pressure to do something with AI. Everybody's doing something. The board wants something. We've got to do something with AI. And so but they think, they're like, I don't know how to approach this. I don't know how to think about this. And I'm like, well, of course you do, right? Every company works within some kind of regulatory or industry best practices, some kind of rubric, right? And they already have existing controls to make sure that they stay within the bounds that they're set. So the question isn't having to redo their whole risk profile, but it's, how does my introduction of AI into a process change my risk profile? And how do I reasonably identify those risks, reasonably mitigate those risks, and how do I prove it?
Great conversation. You can hear the full episode at defendingideas.org. The full episode at defendingideas.org, and learn more about Sutherland Institute at sutherlandinstitute.org, conservative think tank based in Salt Lake City. Really fascinating conversation. We could spend a full hour just on this, giving examples of what Nick and Derek and Bennett from Clarion AI Partners are discussing here. One example of that risk identification, as Bennett was describing there, what these companies need to do is understand how their risk changes once the AI is implemented. I think, again, the best example is Congressman Blake Moore's example, based on his bill banning AI use in toys for the time being, saying that you don't want a chatbot just leading your child through conversations, sometimes inappropriate conversations in a, our age group, most of us listening, we remember like Teddy Ruxpin, right? That was a tape. But now you're talking about toys like that, even more interactive, that can actually hold full conversations because it's a chat bot connecting to your home Wi-Fi as opposed to just a tape in a Teddy Ruxpin. And, that AI doesn't have ethics and morals. They try to program them in, but it doesn't always work. And your child can be sitting there. Yeah, I think, to me, that's the best example of what Bennett is talking about here in this snippet of the episode. The idea that there is risk, and the risk changes once the AI is actually applied. Different risks if it's going to be used, say, in a classroom with teacher supervision, as opposed to being put in a toy that your child might sit and talk to after you send them to bed. Whole different set of risks. Check it out. Again, you can watch the full episode, Iron Man, Not Terminator. Are we thinking about AI the wrong way? From Sutherland Institute at defendingideas.org. And thanks to Nick and Derek and crew for sending us a sneak preview of this for our listeners each week. Stick around. We'll be back with more right after this.
News Talk 610 AM, 102.1 FM, KVNU.
At Adams Wealth Advisors, they believe that successful wealth management is all about planning. And whether you've done a lot of planning or a little, Adams Wealth Advisors is here to help. If you're transitioning a business, searching for the most up-to-date tax strategies, need help managing investments, or need help with estate planning, Adams Wealth Advisors has your back. Visit adamswealthadvisors.com. That's adamswealthadvisors.com for more information or to schedule an appointment.
Get ready, Cache Valley. It's time to clear the clutter and cash in at Cache Valley's biggest garage sale. Saturday, June 6th from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. in the Eccles Ice Center parking lot. Whether you're buying, selling, or just hunting for deals, you'll find everything from tools and toys to furniture and vintage finds, all in one spot. Open to individuals, families, and businesses. Space is first come, first serve. For details, sign up, and payment information, go to CacheValleyGarageSale.com and let the garage sale mania begin.
It can help find information.
That's it for hour one of today's show. But stick around. We're kicking off hour two with Carol Fote. She's a member of the Cache County America 250 committee planning, well, at this point, a year's worth of events to celebrate America's birthday. But coming up, we'll talk about the big one kicking off the summer season of this year-long celebration here in northern Utah, the Dancing Through the Decades Gala. Carol Fote of the Cache County America 250 Celebration Committee, our guest right after this here on KVNU Logan.